Hello, Flickin' Real fans. What's going on today? I've had no shortage of technical difficulties, whether it be with images, displays, getting things uploaded, co-host losing power. It's just been a real adventure today. So bear with me as we try to go through some of the topics, and hopefully you guys will pop in the chat here and give us some other things to talk about. But again, welcome to News and Views on the Flickin' Real Fancast. We are your source for news, reviews, and daily discourse. I am your host, Jesse Swift, not joined by Scott Fox today. I am simply joined by my two cats that are running around the house. So before we get going here, I know you guys have already been waiting like 5 minutes, so I apologize. I appreciate you for coming in. Whether you are watching live or this is on a replay, please just take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Here and also on Twitch, you can find us currently on Watching with Wingblade. So if you go over there, the link is in the description. Man, I need Scott sometimes. And that's just so that you don't miss any of our news breakdowns, late night ramblings, all that kind of stuff, which we had a great episode of the Speakeasy last night, just talking about Dune. We had the awesome and wonderful Mara Knopic on. And the plan is also to do a spoiler-filled Dune review around 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today. So stay tuned for that. We are approaching 200 subscriptions or subscribers. Please help us get there in the next month. So then we can host like a giant thank you stream and just have a big old party, games, drinks, whatever. I think that'll be a lot of fun, but we still need about 38 more subs to get there. So let's get this channel in front of more faces and get that done. Please thumbs up the video. You are our greatest weapon against the very brutal YouTube algorithm. And lastly, if you want to support the channel, there's a great many ways to do so. The most direct way, of course, is to visit our Streamlabs. You got the link right down there. Same bat channel every week, every episode. Man, I'm falling apart. We happily accept super chats on YouTube as well. So another thing that you could do is also just follow us. Again, this part's free. You can just follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I want to say podcast at least one more time. And the links are, again, in the description. Last thing, this is a new thing. We have merch, not a lot, but you can get a shirt just like this, or a sweatshirt, or a sticker, or a notebook, or whatever you want to get. Scroll all the way down to the bottom of the description, and you'll see our TeePublic link if you want to get shirts and support the channel that way. So thank you all so much for being here. We've missed you. It's for any of you regulars to the News and Views show. It's been a week. So we're so glad to have you back. We're going to skip trivia today because obviously I don't have a Scott to trivia with. So stay tuned next time. Still accepting trivia suggestions, though, if you guys want to send some in, things that we can talk about. But as you guys saw on the thumbnail, the first thing we have to talk about is that Eternals currently, and last time I checked, there was about 40 approved critic ratings. Obviously, there's not a lot of audience ratings because it's not open everywhere. But according to the critics, there's about a 71% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And for those of you that don't know how Rotten Tomatoes works, 71% is not a judgment of quality. What it is essentially all of these critics can vote for something to be, fresh or rotten, thumbs up, thumbs down. And this is just the percentage of positive reviews or recommendations that it has. A lot of times you have a movie that is, arguably really exceptional, but it doesn't land for everyone or doesn't resonate for anyone. Dune's experiencing a little bit of that, not to this much of a degree, and we will talk about Dune later. I have been watching a plethora of spoiler-free reviews for Eternals. And I wouldn't say I'm concerned. I just would say because of just the differences that I've seen, I'm very curious as to what the movie is going to be like. Because Dune's another one that isn't working for everyone. And I think that... hey, Jake. Hey, Jake in the chat. He says, can't stay, just dropping a like and saying what's up. I appreciate that. Always. Thank you so much. Eternals is... like Dune, it's dense. There's a lot to it. I've heard it's more of a Chloe Zhao movie than a Marvel film, and I don't think that's to its detriment. You have an Academy Award-winning, current reigning champion directing the movie. However, I think there's probably a lot of people that go out and see all these Marvel movies and haven't seen Nomadland. I'm included in that. I'm guilty. It didn't appeal to me immediately, but I also haven't seen. I apologize in advance. I'm probably going to be making a lot of like Dune Eternal comparisons. They're coming out at a similar time with source material that's very dense, with Academy Award nominated or winning directors behind them, visual spectacles, and also very, I'm not going to say controversial, but there's a lot of differing views on each of these movies. So, I mean, we're left to think what caused this 71%. And I've heard there's some people out here saying that Eternals is boring, or they didn't do a good enough job setting up the source material, making it relevant. The characters are hard to relate to, and maybe that's true. I'm going to stay very open-minded. I've heard that it's possibly bloated. I don't know. I haven't seen it. All I have is the trailers. I heard a lot of good reviews first from, again, people that I trust. I've heard both sides from people whose opinions I appreciate very much. Look at, you go to the Real Rejects, Greg Alba and John Humphreys, and also their good friend, my good friend Coy. They're just in those three. There's varying levels. I think Coy's like the high of highs on Eternals. John Humphreys maybe the next level below, and then Greg's just not all that high on the movie. And this doesn't make me hyped or pessimistic. I'm just so curious what this experience is going to be for me. So if you guys didn't see already, in the comments section, there is a poll that we're having going. I want to know, are you looking forward to Eternals? Not really, absolutely, or, you're not sure. And it's fine to not be sure. But that's really all we have to say on Eternals for right now until we have more to go off of. So we will move on to our next topic. And our next topic is Hayden Christensen is coming back. And we already knew he was coming back for the Obi-Wan series. But Hayden Christensen's coming back to play Anakin or Vader in... I guess we really don't know the timeline of this Ahsoka show with Rosario Dawson. But we know that Hayden Christensen now officially is coming back for the Ahsoka show. I'm wondering if this is going to take place in flashbacks. Is this going to be where we left off on Star Wars Rebels? Where in the time? We know when Obi-Wan takes place. I'm just curious how they're going to... Because if they continue... sorry, my thoughts are all scrambled. If they continue where we left Ahsoka... yeah, Maddie, this is all for you. We're talking Star Wars right now. If they continue where we saw Ahsoka in Mandalorian... Vader, Anakin's 5 years dead. So I'm really curious what they're going to do with the story. I'm very excited to see more Ahsoka. I hope we actually get to see Anakin. I think I'm actually much more interested in seeing flashbacks but then do you still use... I keep interrupting myself because my mind's just all over the place with ideas and speculations. Do you continue using Rosario Dawson if you do a flashback? Because she is playing a matured Ahsoka. I'm not sure. Oh, perfect. Maddie Gunner says, I'm working a convention that Hayden is guesting at. I'll get it out of him. Please, yeah, go talk to Hayden and give us all the answers about Ahsoka, all the hot scoops. Maddie Gunner in the chat letting us know what's going on with Star Wars. So obviously we don't have a lot of people in the chat right now, but if you guys watch this later, leave a comment down below and let us know what you think they're going to do with the Hayden character, or not the Hayden character, the Anakin character, or Hayden Christensen in Ahsoka, or how do you think they're going to use Vader and Obi-Wan? It's really interesting to see respect being put back on his name and everyone really welcoming Hayden back into the community. And I got to say, I'm really excited and curious. I think I will be disappointed if we just get Hayden in the Vader costume. I want to see Anakin again. I think we're not entitled to anything, but I think I would really appreciate to get a little bit of a revisit or redemption for the character of Anakin in some form or another. Dave Filoni is notorious for trying to fix all the crap that's happened in Star Wars, and I'm sorry if that offends anyone. It's kind of how I feel about it. But again, how do you guys feel about Hayden Christensen returning to the Ahsoka series? I think that is an interesting move. Maddie, one more time. It says, I have a feeling it's very much a shot in the dark, but I think he will appear as a Force ghost between Ahsoka and Luke. So also assuming more Luke Skywalker. That would be really cool and possibly emotional. I love that The Mandalorian isn't a Jedi or Force-focused show, but between this and The Acolyte, I'm really excited to see shows that are focused on the Jedi. I think Star Wars is a balance of doing things that are boots on the ground, gritty people just with guns, blasters, and their wits, and also it's spiritual, it's Force, it's abilities, it's the supernatural. I love the combination of the two, so I think they're doing a great job. We're gonna have the Book of Boba Fett, we're gonna have Mandalorian, but then the Acolyte and Ahsoka. I'm sure I'm missing some shows. I know they canceled the you guys know what I'm talking about. The one that might have also had Cara Dune in it, which I think we're all for the better on that. All right, moving on to actually the big conversation. But I've talked about this a lot, so maybe I won't spend that long about it. And luckily we have Maddie in the chat, so he might be able to bring something into this conversation. I want to talk about Dune, guys. I've seen Dune twice now. I watched it in theaters Thursday night, premiere night here in the States. And then I watched it again on HBO Max. I intend to see it again in theaters. I would like to, but I couldn't wait until my next availability to go to the theaters to see it again. I got to say, and it's definitely a different experience. Now, seeing it in both mediums, you have to go, if you can, if you're comfortable, please go see Dune in theaters. I don't want to over-exaggerate and say it's a life-changing experience, but man, I was shook to my core between the music, the acting, the scope, the cinematography. It's like anything that I could compliment about this movie was just like the most impactful version of that I've seen. Denis Villeneuve is a master filmmaker, and his craft is absolutely on display here. Hans Zimmer, I think, is giving us the best he's given us in the last 8 years. I say 8 years because Man of Steel is, of course, one of my favorite Hans Zimmer scores. I can't say enough about this. And I'm a recent Dune fan, I got to say. So, I mean, there's people that are mad about this, that, and the other thing not being represented or delved into. I saw the first trailer for Dune, and I decided I don't want to be in the dark about this property anymore. So I got the Audible for the first Dune book. And actually, recently, I have Audibled the full second book, Dune Messiah. And so I'm getting ready to dive into the third book, which I'm hearing really introduce some crazy, crazy aspects in the world of Arrakis. But what is Dune? For those of you that just seen trailers, just been hearing about it. Well, Dune is the story of the Atreides family, a royal family in the universe. And there's the Imperium, or the Empire, that rules over all these families. And they are sending the Atreides to this planet of Arrakis to replace, seemingly, the Harkonnen family with the Baron and all his lackeys. And they are the harvesters of spice. And if that sounds familiar, it's because George Lucas ripped off a whole bunch of things from Dune, but we don't need to talk about that on this show. But the Barons, you've seen in the trailer, I think, a little bit. The Barons got it nailed because everyone's asking him, it's like, how can we stand for this? And he says, when is a gift not a gift? Very quickly, we find out that there's more going on in the story, and that the Atreides family being given rule over Arrakis may have a more sinister plot than we at first realize. And I think I wish this movie could have been another 3 hours. Or not 3 hours, I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe 3 hours, but 30 minutes. And I understand that, like, when you have something like Endgame, it's something that's earned. We've been doing this for 10, 11 years. We earned a 3-hour runtime. And I think it's a hard sell for people that aren't Dune fans or they're new to the property to say, hey, walk into the theater and sit for 3 hours and experience this. But my one complaint, because I love this movie. I love this movie so much. It may be, I've said it before, and I haven't found a reason to go against this yet. Dune might be my favorite sci-fi movie of all time. Now, I think the only thing that could retroactively affect that is the lack of a part 2. So I think this is the beginning of my favorite sci-fi movie of all time. Just like when you watch Lord of the Rings, you're not supposed to stop. And I think Dune's that way. And I think there's some people that are upset that this was a part 1. But honestly, if you want to see the entirety of the Dune story crammed into one movie, you can go watch the mess that is the 1984 David Lynch film and maybe realize that this book and storyline is too big for 1, 2.5, 3 hour movie. Incredibly, the David Lynch film is actually shorter than the Denis Villeneuve half story. Anyways, you got Oscar Isaac, Zendaya, Timothée Chalamet, Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård, just a phenomenal cast. Rebecca Ferguson, David Smalchian. Everyone does an incredible job. And again, really, all I wanted that I didn't get was more. I just want, and it's not like more story. I think the amount of story we got is good, just more of the characters, more times, because there's not everybody makes it to the end of the film. Hopefully, that's not a big spoiler because I'm not going to talk about who, but it would have been great to get to know him more, to get to live in Arakeen a bit longer, which is the city that they are overseeing. But I got to tell you, I've never seen anything like the realization of the sandworms, the thopters, which are the dragonfly vehicles you've seen in the trailers. It was mind-blowing. It is, as Martin Scorsese would say, like, this is actual cinema. It is an experience. Please, when you go to theaters, try to see it with something with like speakers in the seat. I tried to see it in Dolby. It was sold out. So it's on IMAX, which was a great experience, but I would have rather seen it in Dolby because I want to feel the vibrations. I have listened to the Dune soundtrack like every day, practically for like 3 weeks. I encourage everyone, if you have Apple Music, Spotify, whatever, go look up the Dune soundtrack. It is incredible. Hans Zimmer's out here creating instruments for this movie. I don't know who was more excited to work on this. Denis Villeneuve, who has been a fan of the property since childhood, or Hans Zimmer, who admittingly is the same. And they couldn't have cast it better. Like, maybe I'm in a different place than some of you because I heard of the casting and then I listened to the book. And so I saw all these characters as the actors that they cast. And so maybe I'm biased towards that. But again, I think they did an incredible job. You could feel the menace of the Baron. Even with limited screen time, he is frightening, and I can't wait to see more of what Stellan Skarsgård brings to the table in part 2. Again, we need part 2. Some CEOs at Warner Brothers said that it's likely to happen, but nothing is for certain. Go out there and see the damn movie. Dune. If you guys want to hear more in-depth thoughts, follow us on our audio podcasts. You can find us Spotify, Apple Music, Anchor, Pocket Cast, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. And we have about a 20-minute, Scott and I have a 20-minute fresh out of the theater reaction, and we both loved it. Also last night on the Speakeasy, it was me, Sean Wingblade, Mara Kanopik, and we dove into it, whatever the proper grammar is there. And I'm hoping, again, today, if all goes right and, everyone's got their internets and stuff, we will do a full spoiler discussion at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on the channel. So make sure to stay tuned and come back for that. Really, guys, that's all I have to say about Dune right now off the top of my head. It's nice to have somebody to bounce back and forth, gives time to think, process thoughts. So I'm just kind of burning through topics right now. But we will go into what I've been watching and reading this week. And I'd love to hear what you guys are doing. What are you watching? What shows are you watching? What movie have you seen? Like outside of Dune, are you guys going to watch Last Night in Soho this week? I just got my tickets. Really excited for that. Expect a review. Again, most of our like straight up reviews are probably going to be on the audio podcast. So if you want to listen to those, go subscribe and follow us there as soon as you can. But lately, the last couple days, because Ted Lasso's done, we got through Midnight Mass. My wife and I, Lauren, have actually gone onto HBO Max, and we started revisiting Young Justice because we had almost finished season 2 when we stopped watching it, probably almost a year ago. And I was like, hey, baby, DC fandom, one of the cool things that they actually announced is that season 4 was starting, and they were dropping a couple episodes. So in the last week or so, we've burned through the rest of season 2, all of season 3, and now we've started season 4. So we're almost caught up to where everybody else is. And my goodness, the producers, the showrunners of that show, the best thing that could have happened to them is getting canceled, having a 6-year hiatus, and then coming back on originally a DC streaming service, but now HBO Max, because they're telling the stories they want to tell. Thank you, Mike K. Absolutely. I think season 3 was phenomenal. When season 3 kicked off, within the first couple episodes, you're dealing with human trafficking. You're dealing with child murder. You're dealing with like repercussions of trauma. You're dealing with grief, all kinds of fallout, political schemes. And one of the things that I love about Young Justice is consistently every season is like not just an arc across the season, but every season's a mystery. What's happening with the light? What's Lex Luthor's real motives? Are there going to be betrayals, backstabs, even within the team? And the fact that they constantly keep this fresh and interesting, and you start caring about things that you never thought you'd care about. Like for a lot of people, the quintessential Beast Boy is the Teen Titans show. But I gotta tell you, the way they do Garfield Logan in Young Justice to me is my quintessential Gar. Like he goes through so much, and there's so much character development. He gets a chance to really grow, stand on his own, lead a team. And the depths they go into with Cyborg. For the longest time, the original Justice League animated show from the early 2000s was like my favorite animated show of all time. I think Young Justice is taking its place. And the fact that the closest thing we have to a live action Young Justice is Titans. I'm sorry if this offends anyone, but that's such a bastardization and like wasted potential, because Young Justice, I think, is far superior in any way that it can be. Writing, action, everything. So I hope that that's something that we can do in live action and is actually given a budget at some point. So yeah, I just went off full tangent about Young Justice. And as far as reading, I mean, I consider reading also consuming things through Audible, and I did just finish Dune Messiah. Curious how that could be done in live action, if that's something that Denis Villeneuve would like to do after he does part 2. I didn't love it, to be honest. I think it puts the world into a very interesting place by the end of it, but I do feel like it's kind of just burning its tires for about 75% of it until the plot finally gets some traction and goes somewhere. Second it goes somewhere, then it's like, and it's over. So that's how I feel about it. Here we go. Fun fact, Greg, I don't know if that's Sipes or Kipes. The voice actor of Beast Boy from Teen Titans is reprising his role on Young Justice. Yeah. And I love that, and I think you can tell. It's great, and they're really tackling the Jack Kirby stuff. For any of you comic book fans, they're dealing with like Fourth World, New Genesis, Apocalypse, Darkseid, Mother Boxes, Father Boxes, and at this point, I think the first 2 seasons, like, this is a fun family show. You can watch with your family. Adults can enjoy it. Kids can enjoy it. When you get to season 3, I was like, you know what? I think this is actually adult animation. And that doesn't mean that it's like, sex and dick jokes and stuff like that. But like there's violence, there's real world consequences. The conversations that they have are relatable. They feel real. And I think that's something you just don't see a lot of, especially in superhero content. One of the reasons why I've enjoyed some of the Disney Plus shows, Marvel shows, is they're actually doing some of that. But man, I gotta tell you, if you haven't started watching Young Justice, please do yourself a favor. If you have a child over the age of 10, watch it with them. I was so shocked that season 3 dealt with gender identity, sexual orientation, just representation of religion, ethnicities, going into other countries and exploring the politics there. I guess I could do a whole show on Young Justice. And, if there's enough people watching that I think we're really interested, I'd love to do a Young Justice conversation piece, but I'd need like a whole new co-host and time and everything for that. Anyways, Young Justice, Dune, nothing else really on the docket right now. And let me check something really quick over here too. All right, nothing on StreamYards right now. Understandable. I'm not giving you the best content right now, but I did want to give you a show because I want to be, if nothing else, consistent. And today I just realized it's still got Scott on the top right there. That's okay. Scott's with us here in spirit, and he'll be back certainly next week. Hopefully we all have our power back then. I didn't lose power somehow. It's very windy over here, but I'm still doing okay. Let's see. Pull up. I got notes here. All right. So that's pretty much it for the show today. Please, guys, come back at 2 p.m. I haven't set up the stream yet, but if you come back on the channel, we should be having a spoiler talk for Dune. I'm going to see who I can get on that show. Thank you, everyone, for watching, for taking time out of your day to stop by and talk film and television with us. I loved having you. Leave a comment below letting us know if you thumbed up the video or became a new subscriber. If you've already done both those things, we would greatly appreciate sharing the link and letting other people see it. Because like I said, we got about 38 more subscribers until we hit our 200, and then party! Subbing to the channel guarantees you more weekly movie news discussions, late night water cooler talks, and much more. Again, last night we had a Sunday speakeasy. That was about an hour and a half of talking about Dune from people that loved it, tolerated it, people have read the book, people who haven't. It was a lot of fun, and I'm hoping to do some more of that later today. With that, we just ask that you always remember to keep it real, and we will see you next time. Hey everyone, Jesse here, and don't exit out quite yet. While I have you, I want to take just a quick second to talk with you about something that's very important to me. Right now on the Flickin' Reel channel, we're just a couple guys sitting around and speaking geek, but we think that we can build into something greater. We think that we can build a community, a place for all of us to come together and talk about our thoughts and experiences about various types of fandoms. For this to happen, though, we do need your help, so please do me a huge favor and subscribe to the channel. Along with that, click that little bell icon that notifies you anytime that we upload new content for your viewing pleasure. So again, thank you so much for stopping by and visiting us this week. We hope we'll see you again next week. And just remember, until then, keep it real.